What actually is adaptation? It is an evolutionary process whereby an organism becomes better able to live in its environment. In essence, all adaptations that occur are for survival. This is extremely important. If an organism is placed in an environment not suitable for its functions, then it would have to adapt. For example, a tiger is commonly hunted. However, it eventually develops strategies in order to cope with human technology that's ultimately aged. There are three kinds of adaptations. Structural adaptations are changes in structure or physical appearance of an organism to aid its survival. There is also behavioural adaptations that are changes in the behaviour of an organism in order for its survival. Physiological adaptations are the change in the process an organism undertakes to aid its survival. For example, camels store water within long treks around the desert. Furthermore, convergent evolution is a process whereby an organism not closely related independently evolves similar traits as a result of having to adapt to similar environments. Divergent evolution is the accumulation of differences between groups, which can lead to the formation of new species. An example of a behavioural convergent adaptation is a shark and the stingray. Aside from the obvious differences in appearance between sharks and rays, they also use different methods to breathe, and different ways of moving through the water. Both species of shark and stingray displayed here have one behavioural trait in common. Here, as displayed, the marine animals are both bottom dwellers. Both behavioural adaptations have been placed in order for their survival. The animals are often hunted by larger ones. Unlike the shark, the ray ultimately seeks out its food from below. However, can be said that specifically both marine creatures have remained bottom dwellers due to natural selection. It has become over time a means of hiding from other fearful predators due to their incredibly small size. As we know from the phylogenetic tree of the great ape family, orangutans were the first ones to split off the family tree and evolve into an independent species. Gorillas diverged from a common ancestor with chimpanzees and humans. With thus occurring, the similarities were clearly evident through physical characteristics. As displayed, the shapes and similarities in their bodies are clearly evident. The bone structure within all animals related is identical, with only the smallest physiological characteristics distinguishing between them. Following is an example of convergent evolution, as all of these animals use the same behavioural adaptation in order to survive. Reptiles such as lizards and snakes require heat to survive, as they are cold-blooded. Since lizards are cold-blooded, they need heat. In this case, the heat is provided from the light bulb, which acts as the sun. This evolution can be related to the snake, which also relies on heat as it is cold-blooded. To my surprise, this evolution has passed on to all animals, with most of them all using the sun's radiation to maintain their heat. This includes seals, turtles, orangutans. The coats of the Samaritan tiger and lion are examples of structural evolution. The tiger and lion show differences of divergent evolution through different environments. The Samaritan tiger has an orange and black striped coat, best suited for its environment in the hot jungle. Both animals blend in with their environment. Both forms of camouflage ultimately protect them and hide them from other fearful predators. The ring-tailed lemur and AA are both found on the island of Madagascar. It is an example of divergent evolution in all forms. The reason an AA is so different is due to the time it is active, the place it rests, and the food it eats. The AA is a nocturnal animal and lives high up in the trees in the nest, shaped like a large ball with a single hole for entry and exit. The many different structural, behavioural and physiological features of a ring-tailed lemur and the AA are based upon few differences in subspecies. These include different times of being active, where the animals live, AAs in trees and ring-tailed lemurs on the ground, and finally, the different foods the animals eat, and adapted ways of finding such food. The butterfly described here is a blue-banded egg fly. They are light and often described as a butterfly that outwits its predators, for a reason of course. Butterflies have a range of colours. These specifically hold two major benefits. Firstly, they help them camouflage within the forestry that they live in. It is also a means of scaring off their predators. They have an action of spreading their wings on a flat surface whenever in feeling of insecurity or danger. Butterflies are another example of a convergent evolution alongside the peacock. Both have the behavioural adaptation of using their colours to intimidate larger predators.
out, one behind the other. And Hans is at the front. And it's kind of like a bizarre twist on Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So you follow the red bum in front of you. That's how you know. That's how you all stay together in a line, stretched out. And if the red bum in front of you disappears, that means Hans probably sat down to make his disappear, and like dominoes, every other bum in the line has dropped down. Chances are maybe there's a lion or something like that hanging about, and it'll see your red bum just as easily as the rest of your family do. So, got to keep it hidden. Lastly, I don't know if any of the females are cycling at the moment, but when the females cycle, their bum will swell up to be 4 or 5 times bigger than it is normally, and that's a signal to any males in the troop that they are ovulating and able to